My name is Clara McCarthy, and I am 28 years old. I live in a small, tight-knit community in Ridgewood. The streets here are lined with charming houses and towering trees, and there is a sort of comforting familiarity about this place that makes me feel secure. However, beneath this idyllic surface, I carry scars from my past, memories that still haunt me. I was an awkward teenager, always lost in my books and daydreams, which made me a perfect target for bullies in high school. My days were marked by taunts, laughter that felt like daggers, and a constant feeling of dread every time I stepped onto the school grounds. High school felt like a battlefield, and I often found myself in the trenches by the lockers, listening to the tricks and jibes of a particularly cruel student, Noah. He ruled the social scene with an iron fist, and I was simply a speck of dust beneath his boot. He was charismatic in a way that made others choose sides, and being associated with him was a ticket to popularity. I felt increasingly isolated, and as the years went by, the pretending became so exhausting that I eventually just gave up. I remember vividly the day it all changed for me. It was a night like any other. My friends and I decided to celebrate a small victory, a passing grade in math, something I was always struggling with. We hit up the local bar, a warm and vibrant place that buzzed with laughter, music, and the clinking of glasses, oblivious to the way the past has a way of weaving back into your life. As I laughed with my friends, I buried my past deep down, but then he walked in. Noah. My stomach dropped as he rounded the corner, a wave of tension crashing over me. My friends, caught up in their excitement, beckoned him over. I felt uncomfortable, my heart racing as he approached. What could possibly go wrong? He started buying rounds for everyone and fitting in, but every joke he told had that sharp edge of mockery, and soon he was at it again, turning his venom toward me, just like old times. I wore his insults on my shoulders, pretending they didn't bother me as my friends laughed. We were about 3 hours into the night when the drinks started to blur the lines a little. He struck up a conversation about his life post-high school, mentioning how he had shared custody of a child with his ex and how he despised her. I wanted nothing more than to crawl under the table, but instead, I excused myself to go to the bathroom. Upon my return, Noah dropped a bombshell that turned my stomach. He casually admitted that he was moving meth around the community. I was taken aback. This was the same guy who would shove me into lockers and laugh at me for being too sensitive. But now, it seemed life had thrown him a curveball, and I felt a perverse sense of satisfaction hearing about his descent from that pedestal. I had barely wrapped my head around his confession when the familiar high school bully emerged again. Noticing my silence, he started mocking me, as if waiting for me to recoil from his words and cower as I did in high school. "What's wrong, Clara? Feeling tired?" he called out, and then the floodgates opened. "Still a bully and still a jerk," I shot back defiantly, anger fueling my words. That must have struck a nerve because he turned bright red and unleashed a string of insults I won't dignify by repeating. The atmosphere shifted drastically, and security was called in as he began to scream at me. I sat there, heart racing, attempting to explain my past experiences with him to my friends, who, disturbingly, seemed to have forgotten all about the times I recounted my stories of bullying. As we filed out of the bar, I ordered an Uber, taking deep breaths to mask the humiliation I felt. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Noah again, his expression twisted with rage. Before I knew it, he pounced. He grabbed me in a headlock, and I could feel the world spinning as he choked me out. When I came to, I was lying on the ground, drenched in warmth, utterly humiliated. He had taken things way too far. My friends stood in shock, paralyzed, not knowing what to do. After that night, I returned home, replaying all the events in my mind. How could someone I once knew do something so disgusting? More importantly, how could people I thought were my friends stand by and let it happen? The betrayal cut deeper than the actual incident itself. For a week, I was stuck in a storm of anger, hurt, and confusion. But then, like a light bulb flicking on, a dangerous idea struck me. He had said he was dealing meth. I didn't want to involve the police. I had a deep-rooted distrust for authority due to my experiences, but I felt like I had no choice. I called them and shared everything I knew, his name, where he lived, and that he was dealing drugs in our community. It felt so surreal, picking up that phone and realizing I was about to set off a chain of events that could forever change someone's life, but I had no power over him. Days turned into weeks, and I found myself feeling guilty for what I had done, wondering if anything would even come of it. Would they take me seriously? Was it just a waste of time? Then, just as I was beginning to lose hope, a shocking post appeared in our old high school group chat. Noah had been arrested. The news article detailed a raid at his house, mentioning that his child was present during the bust. The guilt hit me like a freight train. How could I have done this to someone's family? The thought of his child, innocent and unaware of the dark path his father took, flooded my mind with a wave of regret. Could I really celebrate this victory? Weeks after the arrest, the news kept coming. I learned that Noah had been sentenced to prison because of the large stash of meth and the weapons confiscated, all linked to other criminal activities. Suddenly, my elation at a victory twisted into a complex web of emotions. I had orchestrated the end of his liberty, but at what cost? In the months that followed, I wavered between guilt and relief. I had rid the community of a dangerous presence, but now I was left feeling hollow. I could not erase the consequences my actions had on his child's life. Every day I walked past the spot where the incident happened, I replayed the events in my mind. While I had gained a sense of closure, I had also caught a glimpse of the dark side of revenge, and I was still grappling with it. In the end, life in Ridgewood returned to its usual rhythm, but for me, it became more complicated. I became acutely aware of the fragility of life and how easily it could slip through your fingers. The haunting memories of school resurfaced more intensely than ever, but now I had gained a sense of empowerment. While my spirit was battered, I was no longer that shy girl afraid to speak up. Revenge had its price, but the lesson I learned was more valuable than any superficial win. Life is messy, confusing, and often unfair, but the strength found in survival and resilience is something that cannot be taken away. I may never fully absolve myself of my guilt, but I began to see it could be a catalyst for growing into a better person, standing up for others, and ensuring that no one else had to feel what I felt. In the end, I still hold onto that dark sense of satisfaction at having taken a stand. There is a feeling of empowerment in reclaiming my narrative, but there also exists a weight, a reminder that revenge may knock at your door, dressed as justice, but ultimately, the threads of life remain intricately woven and beyond our simple understandings. I faced my demons, but I also learned the importance of compassion amid chaos. Perhaps one day, I can find a way to move on from all this, but for now, I watch as life unfolds and I keep going forward, one step at a time.